What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Tuesday edition of Morning Cuppa Hockey presented by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. That's Colby Cohen. I'm Jonny Lazarus, and we've got a great guest right off the hop for you today. Matthew Barnaby, former NHLer, 14 seasons in the NHL, former Buffalo Sabre, who I'm sure is very fired up to talk about the horrible 0-3 start to the Sabres year. So I don't want to waste any time. I'm not even going to ask Colby how he's feeling today. I'm going to give a shout out from our sponsor, Parasso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care, made in Italy since 1948. Parasso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations. So get 15% off at parasso-usa.com with our promo code Hockey15 in all caps, Hockey15. And with that, we will bring on Matthew Barnaby. And Barney, I don't even want to ask you anything. Just what's going on in your brain right now? How are you feeling this morning?
Yeah, I'm feeling great. Nice to be on with you guys. It's been a while. Look forward to it all year long. What's up with my brain? Listen, it's not like we didn't see this coming again this year for the 15th year. Let's put it into perspective. You know the movie The Town, right? That came out last time the Sabres were in the playoffs.
Oh my
Like a
goodness.
G6 was on the charts.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
like it's been a long, like put it into perspective. That's how you really put stuff into perspective. And honestly, they're years away from being back in the playoffs. And it's no fault of their goaltender. Alex Lyon has like 919 save percentage. This team just can't score goals. 0% on the power play. The Fire Adams chance have started. And more concerning is guys like Alex Tuck, Tage Thompson, Darlene. At what point do these guys just say, get me the hell out of here?
And it's like I don't ever root to see somebody lose their job. It's just I'm sure Kevyn Adams is a nice guy. I mean, like I'm sure he's not a bad guy. And we were wondering, we were trying to look it up to see if you guys ever played together. We couldn't find any record of that. So just to confirm that with you, right? Never played together. But
No,
I'm running through his history as general manager, and I don't understand how he's still the general manager. I mean, you start at the top, and I look at the Buffalo Bills, who are, yes, they have not won the Super Bowl yet, but they are a top franchise in the NFL every season. They've got their cornerstone piece. They've got a great coach. It seems like they've built a great culture, and that's the same owner, right? It's the same owner. And I know a lot of people have a lot of negative things to say about Terry Pegula, but I'm not going to start there. I'm actually starting with Kevyn Adams. Like, I look at it, it's the Eichel trade, Vegas Cup. The guys who come back, okay, pretty good return, right? The Reinhart trade. You got Devin Levi, who looks like an American League goaltender, and the guy Yuri Kulich, who looks to be like a solid NHL forward, but Reinhart is the stir, you know, the drink that, or the straw that mixes the drink in Florida at times for 2 Stanley Cups. Then you look at the Ristolainen trade. Okay, you get a first, and you get Robert Hägg, who like is playing in the Swedish league. The guy you drafted in the first round, not in the NHL. All right. You've got the Byram trade for Middlestat. That's a solid trade. Like give flowers where they're due. But
yep.
I just don't understand how he has survived this long with a team that is just it's lifeless. I mean, it's worse than lifeless.
I'll go a step beyond that. And full disclosure, Terry Pegula is a really nice guy. He's done a lot of good, him and Kim, for the city of Buffalo. Kim doing the downtown part with the Marriott. It's really become a hub and a beautiful place for not only scouts and people to go to the combines and attend games, but also for youth hockey in general. Where they messed up was being involved in trade talks and being involved in acquiring free agents. And listen, we've all flown, and I said this years and years ago, we've all flown a plane hundreds of times. Doesn't make us capable of flying a 747. I wouldn't trust it if I was flying it.
Yeah.
Listen, they got money and they were a little bit too involved. As for Kevyn Adams, he's a great guy. He was my neighbor in Buffalo. Even though he didn't play there, he play with me. He was a neighbor of mine because he is from there. A great guy. But what's his pedigree?
Yeah.
He was like, what did he do to deserve the job of general manager? He had no pedigree going in. Some of the trades, disastrous. And you look at a guy like Alex Tuck, who was the main piece and been very good for Buffalo. If he wants out or doesn't resign, how bad is that Eichel trade now? I mean, it is just going to be awful. And I feel so sorry because I don't cheer for anyone as well to get fired. But I also want more for great fans of Buffalo. I played there for 7 years, lived there for 25 years, and they deserve more than the product that they're seeing on the ice.
Well, that's
And
something.
let me just,
Go.
Johnny, let me just follow up here a little bit on what we're talking about. Wasn't Kevyn Adams involved with the youth hockey side of things, working in the organization? Because here's why I asked you that question. I remember doing the Frozen Four in Buffalo in maybe 2018 or 2019. I don't remember exactly what year it was. And I got an opportunity to go to lunch with people from the Pagula organization, higher ups that were really good friends with Barry Melrose. And so I got to hear a little bit about some of the inner workings of what was going on. And I believe it was right before Kevyn Adams was the GM. I believe he became the GM in what, 2019 when he became the
19,
GM?
I believe.
Yeah. So they were all kind of coinciding with each other. And I remember thinking to myself, like, yes, Kevyn Adams was a good NHL player, but just like because you were a good player doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be a good coach. I was like thinking to myself, how do you go from running youth hockey to being the GM? Like, that just didn't make sense to me. You see these other players put their time in, they work as an advisor, they do special assignments. And then eventually after 10 or 12 years, they might get a chance to be GM. So I thought it was a weird hire to begin with. And it sounds like, you're kind of confirming at least my suspicion or my thought process there.
He just had to be in the right place at the right time when they were cutting budgets, and I guarantee he's coming on the cheap. He's not. He's got to be the lowest paid GM in the league and essentially a yes man. But listen, I know after playing 15 years in the NHL, I could step into an assistant coaching role in the NHL right now and not miss a beat. You'd learn some intricacies of the day-to-day work,
Right.
but I coached in the OHL. I know the game, watch enough hockey, can have a feel for the youth that plays it today because it is a young man's game. No way in hell could I step in and being an assistant general manager or a general manager. Like there's no way. There's just so much that goes into it. So he was really thrust upon and learn on the fly, and that's not what I want for my hockey team. If I'm owner, it's not what I certainly want if I'm a fan. He had no pedigree, and we're seeing it. Listen, I've been expecting him to be let go for a couple of years now. If he can withstand this, if they lose to Ottawa and get off to, let's just say, a 2-8 start, I can't see him being the GM after 10 games if they're 2-8. It just wouldn't make sense, and it's a disservice. But it's been a disservice, and I could have went back to 2014. I heard rumblings of the crap that was going on in the front office. It was a debacle, a schmozzle. You picked the word. It was that of the Buffalo Sabres, and it's continued.
And Barney, just to go off of that a little bit, and I apologize for the long-winded question here, because I do want to read Tage Thompson's quote from yesterday. I know you talked about Tuck and Dahlin and all these guys who you feel for. But Tage, he comes out yesterday and says, we're 3 games into the season, so it's not over by any means. We have a long season to go. You guys are acting like the world is ending right now, which we are doing, to his credit. But he also then said, it's not good for morale when you're losing. You can't keep looking back. The last 3 games, the last 4 seasons, the last 14 seasons, what's done is done. I'm tired of talking about the past. But with that, I want to know, if you're in the locker room on your Buffalo Sabres team in the 90s and you see fans with bags over their heads at the game, a jersey on the ice 3 games into the season, what are guys like you and Brad May and Rob Ray, like, who is getting up and speaking in the locker room, and what kinds of things are you saying? Because for me, I actually like that response from Tage, but I don't know what else could be said.
I love the response from Tage. I mean, he's a leader. He's sick of it. He gives his best foot forward. He's the best player on the team with Darlene. Listen, the hardest thing for them right now is keeping the outside noise from affecting that dressing room. Right? That's the biggest thing right now. Trying to stay mentally focused and not get down and not say, "Oh, we're the same old Sabres." I'm a New York Jets fan, guys. I've seen this. I've seen
Oh,
this movie before. I've seen this movie before. We're 0-6. It's the same shit with the New York Jets, but it's the same expectations because we've seen it before. There's no reason to think this Buffalo Sabres team is going to be different from the last 14. And to your point in just talking who would have stepped up, listen, me and Brad and Rob probably would have fought each other in the dressing room. That's just we've done it before when we were on losing streaks. We've done it before when we were on winning streaks because we always pushed each other to get the most out of each other. The stuff never got out of the dressing room, but listen, we had internal battles trying to push each other when we were playing well, when we were playing poorly, and fights in practice and battling extra hard and calling out guys. I'm not saying you always have to call out guys, calling out yourself once in a while. All of the above, but it just seems like it's the same old thing with no fire. And we can go to different points where they don't stand up for teammates. Listen, that was a different team. You're talking about one of the most proud teams I ever played with, and
Mhm.
mostly because our coach Ted Nolan expected you to work hard, and battle for each other. And internally, we expected to push each other, stand up for each other, all of the above.
So we also talked about, how these players aren't necessarily getting the most help from management, right? So you being a New York Jets fan, I feel like this is actually a great question to ask you too. My good friend Dwayne, is a diehard Buffalo Sabres fan. He's the one, I don't know if you saw the clip last year that went viral. It was like an old clip. He had that 5-minute like radio call, like basically
Yeah.
crying about the Sabres. So, he's a diehard. But at this point, a guy like Darlene, a guy like Tage Thompson, these guys who have been there and have played well. Do you almost feel worse for the players who aren't getting the help from management, or worse for the fans? I feel like the answer could be obvious, but I'm just wondering how you feel about that.
Well, I feel worse for the fans, honestly, because the guys are making $8 million, $9 million. Like,
Mhm.
you, you're still, even though you're playing well, still part of the team that is very disappointing. So I feel for the fans because this city loves its hockey, and now it's all Bills, Bills, Bills. And rightfully so. They're a wagon right. Well, not the last 2 weeks, but essentially it's turned into a Sabres town, really into a Bills town, and no one really talks about the Sabres. So I feel bad for them. At least the guys are getting compensated very, very well. We can go further. Like, we talk about this team, like getting out of this rut. They made a trade for Josh Norris. Now Dylan Cousins fell out of favor with their fans in the way that he didn't stand up for teammates, whatever. Still a very good player. Josh Norris is a better player than Dylan Cousins, I think, when both are healthy. But you got a guy that's literally broken. Like,
Mhm.
he's on a massive deal. One game into the season, he's going to miss 8 to 10 weeks. I mean, this is not a player. And when the trade happened, I tweeted it right out. I love Josh Norris, the player, if he's healthy, but he's going to
yeah.
be 8 to 10 weeks. They're going to be out of the playoffs by the time that happens. Like, they're going to be out of the playoffs by the time Josh Norris comes back.
Yeah, it's probably coming sooner than later. I mean, by American Thanksgiving, you're probably looking at another year where it's not going to happen. I want to go to the chat here. I mean, you do different you've been on all the shows around the Daily Faceoff Network, so you know how we like to use the chat. And Randy Workman, one of our guys from Calgary, wants to know, who would you hire as general manager right now if that became a job that was available? Is Jarmo Kekalainen sort of the obvious choice because he's already in house, or do you have thoughts on somebody else that maybe you would have your eyes on?
Yeah, Yarmo would be my guy in the short term and evaluate how he went from there. He's kind of, I think all signs point to him. And it's got to be hard for a guy like Kevyn Adams to know you're kind of a sitting duck. We've thought he's been a sitting duck for a while, and they haven't taken the shot yet. But with Yarmo there, his experience And I like Yarmo very, very much. I don't know him well, but all the times I've interviewed him or talked to him over the years, he's been great. And I think he's got a really good track record in just the way he manages caps and a lot of things that he does. So I think he's the obvious choice right now. All signs point to him. So I haven't really thought about other guys, to be honest.
Yeah, and since we're talking about some of these, and you use the word evaluation, which I think when you have somebody in house, it gives you the opportunity to have that up close and personal evaluation, because you never really know. As much as you think you might know even a player, you trade for him, you bring him to your team, and then you don't really know until they're on your ice every day to really evaluate them. So let me ask you this, as somebody who I think has some pretty good history with Lindy Ruff from when you played. How would you evaluate his performance as head coach? Like, his name doesn't seem to be the flavor of the minute, I would say, because I think everybody knows he's been dealt such a dog shit hand, if we're being honest. But listen, this is pro sports. This is a results driven business. And, normally a GM goes, that means a coach isn't far behind because the new guy is going to want his guy, although they sometimes like to let it ride out and buy themselves a little bit more time. But how would you evaluate the job that Lindy Ruff's done?
Yeah, and Lindy and I had an up and down relationship, mainly because of me. I was probably a little immature at the time because I let my relationship with Ted Nolan affect my relationship with Lindy coming in, because I didn't think Ted Nolan should have been fired. But that's just a backdrop to what I'm going to say. Lindy came in; he was very arrogant. And I think he's learned from that. I think he's not bad with the younger generation now. He's very knowledgeable. He puts a lot of work into it. I'm not giving him a full pass, because when you are as bad as they were last year, and with the start they've got off to this year, you have to take some onus on everything that goes on. Having said that, the roster is just good enough. And when you sit at the start of the year and you do like we all do in this business, we predict who's going to make the playoffs. Right? That's what we do every single year. We go over every division, we go over every conference, we pick our winners, we pick the guys that are out. And if you don't pick a team to be in the playoffs and you pick them to be in the bottom 5 or bottom 7 in the whole National Hockey League, well, you have to set realistic expectations for that coach. So I don't have them as a playoff team. I think I have them at 6th in their division. Yeah, 6th in their division, or 5th in their division. It's not a very good hockey team. And this is with goaltending playing well. Like, this is with goaltending playing well. So long-winded answer, but I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass, but he has to take some responsibility, because you got to be able to find a way to win. The power play is at 0%. 0%. You have a PK at 100%. You have a goaltender that's giving you a chance to win every single night, and you're 0-3.
I got one more for you, Barney, and I do want to shout out Mike Grinnell.
You've called him like 4 different nicknames, by the way, in the first 18 minutes of this show. Just you're literally talking to a guy that used to beat people's face in and then go to the net and try to score a goal in the National Hockey League. Like, all the nicknames, Johnny, like I'd almost say like maybe
Bam Bam and Killers. Bam Bam and Killers coming up next, Johnny. Let's go.
Okay, so he was a New York Ranger, though, so I can call him any nickname I want because he's one of my own. But I will say, and now I lost my train of thought, so thanks for that, Colby.
I'm good about that kind of stuff. Here, listen, I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
You think
pick
about
it up.
what question you had. So I do kind of want to stay on this topic of evaluation, because again, like, you played in this league a long time, and I know you still watch the game. I know you're still around the game. Like, when I look at some of the players on this team, I do feel that they are underperforming, right? Like, I think Owen Power has to give more. Now, I don't expect him to be this dynamic offensive defenseman just because he went number 1 overall. I know his game, but I think that there's more. I look at the turnover that Rasmus Dahlin had against the Avs yesterday, right? In a game that was fairly, yes, maybe the score was closer than the actual game, but like, that's a pivotal moment, and that's a bad turnover for an $11 million defenseman. And I guess my question to you would be like, if you're evaluating those guys, are we giving them this sort of free pass of like, it's so bad in Buffalo, but Because I don't sort of go that way. Like, I think if you make $11 million, I don't give a shit how bad things are. You need to be the guy that shows up every day and brings your best. And I don't see that happening really for anybody right now in Buffalo. And maybe you disagree, but where do you kind of sit with those players in particular and then maybe as a whole?
The turnover was egregious in a game that is close. Listen, Colorado is going to win that game 8 times out of 10. They're a way better team than Buffalo, even when Buffalo is at home. Having said that, guys are trying to do so much. Listen, the players want to win. Darlene wants to win. He's a hell of a player.
Yeah, no, of course.
He's just that's a guy trying a hope play to make something happen. He's trying to pull something out of thin air instead of being methodical, because methodical for them is not working. So he's trying to pull something out of midair. It's egregious, terrible turnover. They're going to show that on the video. I guarantee Lindy Ruff, that's the first thing that they are going to see today in video is that turnover. And it can happen from your best players. Your best players have to be your best players. You can't win in any league. I don't care what league you're in, and I don't care what sport you're in. If your best players aren't dominating and being the best players on the ice, you are not going to win. That's just fact. So when you start to lose, it just snowballs and everything. Listen, if they were on an 8-game winning streak, we wouldn't even be talking about that turnover. But the reality is they're on a 3-game losing streak, haven't made the playoffs in 14 years. So we talk about it.
And the backdoor tap-in doesn't really help either, right? Like that's just a cherry on top of that turnover. Yeah, what a play.
Great play.
Yeah.
But
that other guy that scored isn't bad. He knows where to go to the net too.
And Mr. Barnaby, if I may, I can't call you any nicknames, but I got my question back. I was thinking about Mike Grinnell, a good friend of ours, good friend of the show, another producer of Spit and Chicklets. He talked about this conspiracy theory yesterday that he had where Terry Pegula obviously brings Gavin McKenna into Penn State. Yeah, but I don't need to do the whole spiel for you. But like, I want to put you in the chair, like let's say at the NHL Combine. If you are talking to Gavin McKenna right now and you are trying to sell him on the Buffalo Sabres if they potentially have that number 1 overall pick, if I'm Gavin McKenna watching this season unfold, I'm saying to myself, you know what? If they pick me, sure, I'll go there, but I ain't going next year. I'll go back to Penn State. Like, why the hell not? If I'm making nearly the same amount of money he'd be making as a rookie. Like,
deal. Yeah.
What would be your pitch for the Buffalo Sabres talking to this kid?
Oh, man. Gavin, Chefs has unbelievable chicken parm and spaghetti parm. The bars are open till 4:00 in the morning, and the golf's pretty good in the 3 weeks in the summer that you get. Yeah. No, man, don't go there. Don't let them do it to you. But you can go there for a few years. They'll trade you to a Stanley Cup champion. You'll probably win multiple cups like Jack Eichel and Sam Reinhart. So not a bad gig.
Yeah, it's look, I think even to be a Buffalo Sabre, I mean, I think you get to be in the NHL, you get to be a first overall pick. I mean, it certainly seems like it could potentially be heading in that direction. And
still have to win the lottery though. Still have to win the lottery.
Yeah, it's true. And
hey,
everybody
we saw last we saw. Yeah, that's a farce. That's a joke. It's like when they think that Vegas controls the NFL or Vegas called in. It's like, guys, come on.
Tom Brady in the broadcast meetings is stealing signals, and I mean it's all tinfoil hat.
Come on, it absolutely ridiculous. But we remember last time the lottery, and I still see Tim Murray, the former GM's face when they got the second pick instead of getting Connor McDavid, and they got Jack Eichel, who's a hell of a player, a hell of a player.
Yeah,
but there's a lottery there for a reason, so teams don't tank.
Yeah, let me ask you one more question, not Buffalo related, before we let you go, because Lane Hutson signed his deal yesterday, and I've had some different comments. They've been received differently. I probably piss a lot of people off pretty consistently, which is just is what it is. But I feel like you could probably appreciate that as a guy who was an absolute menace during your playing career. I mean, you played for everybody who was battling the Flyers when I was growing up. So like my vivid memories of you, we've talked about this before, are just you driving people crazy at the Spectrum and then the Core State Center. But all right, so back to my actual thought here as I went on a little random tangent. I'm seeing a trend now ever since Connor McDavid took way less money. Every other player, big name that has signed since has taken less money. I believe Lane Hutson decided, you know what? 8.8 is, to me, I can do anything with 8.8 that I can do with 9.25. And I just don't want this to be a distraction. I think Jack Eichel said, you know what? I'll leave $1.5 million a year on the table, or maybe $2 million a year on the table if it's going to help us have a better second and third line. We know the discount that McDavid took. I mean, he might have left $7 or $8 million a year on the table. Kyle Connor, I think if he wanted, he could have pushed the envelope a little bit more. We're now seeing a trend where I believe players feel pressure to take less money for everybody else, right? What do you think about that and about that trend? And I've gone on to say I think this will hurt the players in the next CBA negotiation, because I think the business side for the owners, they're shrewd and they care about money, and the players care about winning. And I think that gets used against the players.
How do you think it's going to affect them in the next CBA, though? Just to clarify.
Yeah, like, I just think that they spot a weakness, and the weakness is that it's more important for hockey players to win than to maximize their value and their dollars. And I think owners will try to exploit that. However they decide to dig their heels in, whether it's continuing to not share expansion money, because that is a shitload of money that the players are not getting a share of, right? And continuing to say, you know what, we can dig our heels in a little bit more, and we can give things back like dress codes and training camp testing, and we're going to continue to line our pockets with expansion money. So that's kind of my thought process.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I thought we were going like on cap and lowering cap, or
no, definitely not.
Hockey related revenue, all that. Oh, okay. Here's my take. I do not fault Kaprizov one bit for taking $17 million. Not one bit. You have a limited time to play, and he decided he wanted to make his money, and guys should get as much as they want. And get as much as you can, as much as they're willing to pay you. That's what you're worth. Do I think it's viable to have a contender if a guy's eating 20% of your cap? Not really. If you got three guys making an exorbitant amount of money, no. Is there going to be pressure because the best player in the world took less? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's going to be a trend we're going to continue. And we're fortunately for these guys at a point that they're making real money now.
Yeah.
Like they're making real money. And with the cap going up, like, what's the difference between 12 and 14? And you hear it from fans all the time. Listen, it's a lot of money. They're leaving a lot of money on the table. And I think it all started with, it started with like Florida and Vegas and Dallas. Like, these are teams with no state taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's trickled down, but nothing's going to affect the market for other GMs like Connor McDavid. But you're still going to get the outlier that wants his full value.
Yeah.
And we can't begrudge that guy, but
nope.
There is going to be more pressure on guys to take less because of Connor McDavid. But I also think he's endeared himself to the fans. Listen, he's going to make, when it's all said and done, over $240 million, because his next deal, he's not giving the hometown discount to anyone. He's going to get a lot of money, but he's endeared himself to his fans. And I think if they don't win in the next 2 years, or I guess 3 years with his 1 year remaining, he has an easy exit. And no one from Edmonton can say, oh, you just wanted to leave. Listen, I left $7 million a year to try and win. But if they don't win and he feels like it's slipping away, then watch what he's going to get and who he's going to go to. It's going to be a Vegas, a Florida, whoever one of the top dogs is, and he's going to sign there.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I think that all that is totally fair. And I'm trying to look out into the future and just kind of wonder what's going to happen. By the way, I obviously need to get you one of these. I forgot that you had a golden retriever. I remember when you got your dog, and because I remember you were posting about him he's what, like 3 now?
No, he's like 4.5 now. Yeah.
Okay.
Was he just walking around in the background?
He was just walking around in the background. My golden is always, I got the door closed to my office today, but my golden Oliver is usually making an appearance on the show at least a couple days a week. So They're the best.
I never have
right?
to worry about him barking, so he can walk around.
The Flyers Warriors did a collab with Team Foster. So the veterans and the dogs, they do like service dogs and they put them with
Yeah.
veterans. And so they did this clothing collab and they used a golden retriever and a hockey stick for all the branding. Like I got
I got to
sweatshirts,
get one
hats.
for sure.
Yeah. I'll talk to the guys and I'll get you one and I'll get it to you. I'll text you and get your info and we'll make sure that we get one your way. Johnny, you got anything else for him?
Yeah, one more fun one, obviously. Got to end on a fun one. Hypothetical gun to your head, Mr. Barnaby. Who makes the playoffs first, New York Jets or Buffalo Sabres?
Oh, jeez. Oh, man, that is a fun one. All right, Johnny, not your typical one.
Man, I'll take the Sabres.
Yeah, the Jets that bad, huh?
Oh, they're horrible, man. There's not a team in the world that can find a way to lose. Not only they lose in the worst possible ways. Just everything is just so bad. They can lose in every uniform. Like they're getting really good, but I'm a gambler. Bet365, baby. I bet against them every week, and they're paying off.
All right, well, maybe you could. Yeah.
Ever since Hard Knocks with the New York Jets all those years ago,
Rex Ryan,
when they had the Darrell Rivas situation, Mike Tannenbaum was the
Yeah.
GM. I've always liked Mike Tannenbaum. I remember I followed him on Twitter like years ago, and he followed me back. And like I exchanged DMs with him I pulled a Johnny Lazarus. I actually exchanged some DMs with him, but I've always kind of followed the Jets since that Hard Knocks. Like it's not like I like the Jets, but I've always been intrigued by them. And I've always the Brett Favre saga, and then you get Aaron Rodgers coming in, and like, I don't know, like I feel like even me, like I live in Philly, like you can't escape the New York Jets.
Yeah. Well, anyone in the chat, if I ever hear this, like in preseason football or hockey, and they're like, oh my God, this guy's looking so good. This guy's in such great shape, best shape of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And the Sabres start out 0-3 and the Jets 0-6. Don't listen to anything in preseason or a guy scores 6 goals. It's preseason, people. It's training camp. No one ever has a bad training camp. Like, come on, stop it. They're two pathetic franchises right now, and I don't see either of them making the playoffs for a few years to come. But I think the Sabres make it before the Jets, and that saddens me and disgusts me.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, we're grateful for your time this morning, and we'll definitely check back in with you.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny. Thanks for ending and starting my Wednesday off in a piss poor mood, bringing up the Jets. Yeah, thanks.
I got you.
Well, he decided to wear his girlfriend's shirt on the show today, so he had to pass around the misery.
Not true. It's very believable, but it's not true.
He definitely took that out of her closet. There's no doubt about that. So, all right,
I thought it was baby Gat. So
yeah.
All right. See you, boys.
It's called Goo.
All right.
That was good. I love that guy.
I can actually, I'm pretty sure I can hear Oliver outside the door of my show right now. Or I mean, of my office right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is a tough shirt to wear, especially when you broadcast a show in front of like thousands of people every day.
I love this sweatshirt. It's from like it's like the Japanese Zara. It's called Goo. It's a great shop. I love it here in New York.
Can we get a poll, Vic? Can we get a poll up right now, please? Because I'm telling you right now, to me, he's wearing Emily's shirt.
Wait, that actually is funny, Colby. The chat's saying it's because Barney was like, "Thanks for starting my Wednesday off like this," and it's Tuesday.
Yeah,
the chat's saying it's Tuesday. Yeah,
that's how it is when you're in that Buffalo Sabres aura. You listen. If the Buffalo Sabres were smart, like they should bring a guy like him back, get him around, like. Put him.
But that's what they just did with Lindy, also, though. Like,
put him in a role where, like, he can get out. Like, they need to rebuild their credibility. So they need to go back to guys that were blue collar players who gave their fucking heart and soul every single night for that team, that literally would have eaten lead for that team when they played for them, and get them around the fans and get them back into the front office and lean on their experience. I just don't. I just don't understand why they can't figure this out. And I guess I'm curious, like, because, Matt was talking about the fact that the Pagulas are kind of getting involved in some of these trade things. Do they do that with the Bills? It doesn't seem like it, because the Bills seem like this like beautifully steady ship. And I know the last couple of weeks haven't been good, but like they literally make it to the Final Four of the NFL every freaking year, which is so hard to do. I know no Super Bowl, but still, like, you're right there at the end every single time. So how could it just be so polarizingly different? I just don't understand. And I have a feeling the poll's gonna lean into the fact that it's probably Sweet Baby Shirt. So
well, I voted
Johnny,
for myself.
Before you take us to the next order of business, I just want to remind everybody, hit that like button. Our likes were down yesterday. Let's make sure we hit that subscribe button. If you're new here, get those automatic downloads on. And those audio downloads on podcast and Spotify. Let's make sure we keep pushing the envelope with that.
Before we get into the next topic, Colby, I did see Ariel in the chat, and obviously we know Ariel is one of our more passionate listeners. She said, where do you guys think the Islanders will be in a few years? But I do want to kind of bring this back to the Buffalo Sabres, Colby, because both teams right now are 0-3, yet both 0-3 records feel completely different. Because the Islanders in the last, let's say 5-6 years have seen a little bit of success, right? Like back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals. Like, sure, the fans have waited a long time, from the 4 straight Stanley Cups to see another championship. Buffalo Sabres fans have obviously waited a very long time too, just to even see the playoffs. But where both teams are at right now, I'm curious what you'd clarify as different between the two 0-3 starts for these two teams. Because watching that Islander game yesterday, and I watched that whole game, watched Matthew Schaefer again get 26 minutes, have an assist, now 3 assists or 3 points in his first 3 games, playing, insane minutes. I've never seen from an 18-year-old defenseman before, and I was arguing it all day on Twitter yesterday. But curious what your thoughts are on that between the two teams.
Well, I'll say this. So after he played 5 minutes the first night, I went on Instat and I just watched. I just literally sat last night and watched all of his shifts on Instat, because I didn't want to watch a whole Islanders game. Yeah. We're so early in the NHL regular season. I have not watched the Islanders yet wire to wire. I as I said yesterday, the way I like to do it early on is make sure I get a viewing of 3 periods, where I'm not bouncing around and I'm sitting there and I'm so I haven't hit the Isles yet. Obviously, I know they're 0-3. I did, like I said, I have Instat, which is such an amazing software where you can, I could go in and just watch the Islanders offensive zone rushes or entries or retrievals, or it breaks the game down in such a great way. It's so I literally just went back to watch his shifts, because I kind of wanted to see and not fall into narratives. And I wanted to see what this kid is literally doing shift in and shift out. So I just look at the roster and I just kind of wonder, they're not committing to a rebuild, but it seems to me like they need to, the Islanders, because, you have some pieces down the middle. Look, Horvat, Barzal, Pajot, Cizikas down the middle. If you just looked at that, you'd be like, you know what? That's not a bad group of 4 centers. And so often we look at teams and we say, you know what, they're not strong enough down the middle, or they don't have speed down the middle, or, their lack of attention to detail is a problem down the middle. And Zach, you're asking if it's public. Yeah, anybody can have an Instat scout account. They're very, very expensive. I borrow one from, somebody in the National Hockey League that they pay thousands and thousands of dollars for these licenses on Instat, college teams, junior teams, pro teams, whatever. So I don't actually pay for it. I know it's really expensive, but yes, anybody could actually have an Instat account. It's something even youth hockey players and youth hockey parents can have. So, but I look at the team, Johnny, and down the middle, you're like, okay. And then you're like, all right, what about the wing? Drouin, Heineman. Okay, you're sitting here and you're like, these are NHL players. These are not guys that don't belong in the National Hockey League. You're not the Chicago Blackhawks of the last couple of years, where you're playing a lot of guys who are probably going to play in the American League once they move on or once the team gets better. I mean, and so I kind of start thinking to myself, like, what is the problem here? I mean, I do think team speed rears its ugly head out and becomes a problem. I mean, Pajot is a little bit older. He's got a lot of miles on his tires. Anders Lee, Kyle Palmieri, Duclair, he's been around for a while. He's bounced around. And then, Holmstrom, he's not really a guy you're looking at and you're going, okay, like you got to be a speedy, productive forward. He's a fourth line type of guy. And, Siplikov showed flashes last year, but, and I see what you're saying in the chat, Ariel, and I'll take your word for it, with Shabanov, I don't know, is it Shabanov?
Shabanov, yeah.
Shabanov. I'll take your word on it because, like I said, I haven't sat down and watched it. So this team wire to wire, but it looks to me like you have this sort of aging roster and you're lacking speed, and I think it's time. Like it's time to turn it over and really rebuild it. You brought in a new GM. Obviously, I don't think it was, hey, bring in a new GM and rebuild, but where are you going from here? Like, how many more years are we going to sit here and wait for Matthew Barzal to be like a star? I mean, again, I know he's an all-star caliber player. Like he should make the all-star game most years, but you're clearly seeing that you're not winning with him anymore. It's a problem. And even the Bo Horvat, like you brought him over. Lou Lamoriello said we gave him way too many years and way too many dollars. Like, it's probably not wrong. Like yeah, he's produced in Long Island, but has he moved the needle for this team since he came over? It was like, once we get Horvat, this player will get going, that player will get going. So I don't know. Like, I just, what are they doing in Long Island? Ariel, let me ask you back. Like, where do you see this team going? And as a fan of this team, like, what is the expectation in Long Island for what this team should and can be? Because like, I don't think they're a last place team, going through this roster. Like, I don't think they're a team that's going to be in the lottery, but I think they're a team that's going to be stuck in no man's land where you're not good enough to make the playoffs and you're not bad enough to be in the lottery. And ask Philadelphia Flyers fans how that's treated them for the last decade.
Well, for me, I'd say Colby, they're like 2 years away from having what you're talking about, like this like rebuild fully formed, right? Because now they got guys like Cole Yzerman, Danny Nelson, Aitchison and Eklund, the two guys they drafted this past year, Luca Romano, who looked really good in training camp from everything I've heard and saw. Like, those are 5-6 young prospects who the Islanders had none of 2 years ago. Like 2 years ago, this was a team that was old, that had no prospect pool. And now suddenly it feels like almost overnight with Darsh and, obviously just getting the number 1 pick this year, they've sort of found their way into a rebuild, but those guys aren't ready yet. Once the Yzermans, the Nelsons, Bednarik is another one. Once those guys are ready.
I don't think Bednarik is a guy that like, I mean, he's going to be a fourth liner if he makes the National Hockey League.
Point being,
they seem to do okay and have fourth line penalty kill types.
Point being, though, none of those guys are ready for the NHL right now. Like once they make their entry, those names, which I think is again like 3 years away. I think that's when you see like this full rebuild kind of happening, and those guys are given the keys, to play their games. And by then, like Matthew Schaefer is 20, 21 years old, and I'm assuming is probably a stud at that point, right? So I do think.
Listen, he looks like a stud already. So yeah, but I mean, it seems like the sky is the actual fucking limit for this kid. I mean, that seems pretty pretty apparent. I mean, again, it's early, and I said it yesterday. Let's just let the kid breathe a little bit, and let's not put unrealistic expectations. But like, you look like you found your guy on the back end. I mean, you really do. I mean, you pushed out Noah Dobson, and I think Ariel and others were okay and on board with that, because I don't think that people who watch the Islanders every single night felt like they were getting $9.5 million play out of Noah Dobson. But I still, it looks as if you found your franchise defenseman after, ushering Dobson right out the door.
Yeah, I'm just laughing at what Zach said. What Johnny is saying is the Islanders are 2 years away from being 6 years away.
And I've seen, and the other thing I want to see is, and yes, we did
Mhm.
see that praise about what our Neil said about Schaefer. We did see that. We talked about that before we started the show today. And listen, Ariel, you make plenty of good points here. You talk about Barzal on the wing with Horvat, all these different things, but there's a reason they have to pull these players apart from each other. It's not as if Patrick Waugh is not aware that he had a big season and he had a bunch of points, basically point a game when they played together. There's obviously something there that Patrick Waugh doesn't like or isn't seeing or feels like they need the depth. Maybe when Callum Ritchie comes back,
Yeah, it's Cal Ritchie. I didn't even say his name.
League,
yeah.
and he can force the hand to come back. Maybe he goes to that second line centerman role and you can put Barzal back up on the wing with Horvat. But again, is that a good thing? Is that a good thing for the Islanders to win some hockey games and finished in the middle? It just seems like it seems like this team is sort of headed for this Philadelphia Flyers-esque sort of year. Well, they're already into it. It's not new, but like, how many years can you be not bad enough but not good enough where it just continues to set you back?
I'm actually like, and I know you're gonna put me in my place here, and you're gonna agree with Randy, but Randy just said in the chat, Schaefer has played 3 games. Let's relax. Why do we have to relax? Why can't we just acknowledge how incredible this kid has been for 3 games? Like, I'm not saying, like he's going to win the Rookie of the Year automatically or whatever, but what he's done in these 3 games, I have not seen another 18-year-old defenseman do this. Never, ever. Not Rasmus Dahlin, who had a great rookie year. Not Brian Leetch, who I think Colby and I were talking about before. I obviously don't know what Bobby Orr's first 3 games looked like, even if he was 18, or Ray Bourque and those guys. But why can't we just say these first 3 games for Matthew Schaefer have been unbelievable? Because they have been. He's been the only bright spot. I know, but people are like, "Oh, it's just 3 games. Relax. Like he'll hit a wall. He'll crash and burn."
I think Randy, who is a very, very level-headed,
Randy,
chat guest.
It's not just Randy.
Viewer, is just being level-headed about it, like about the fact that there's going to be peaks and valleys. I mean, it just isn't always going to be perfect, and I think when you set a guy up and you make him Superman after 3 games, it's hard to continue to fulfill that for an 18-year-old kid who's going to hit a wall. Let me say one other thing before we move to Lane Hutson. Okay?
Then I want to say one other thing.
Okay, fine. I don't know if Olivia's here today because I haven't seen her in the chat. Maybe you're here, maybe you're not. I'm not sure, Olivia. But there was a lot of comments yesterday on our YouTube, on our Twitters, where everyone's like, look at these 2 dumb Americans they're so shocked that a player from the CHL could come into the NHL and be good. Their love affair with the NTDP and college hockey and blah, blah, blah. Yes, we are more familiar with the American development path than we are the Canadian development path because we both went on it. Sure, we both do games in college, but not once did we have anything to say about the CHL not being a good path. What we said about Schaefer was that he barely played hockey last year. I say this all the time. Stop hearing what you want to hear and actually listen to what we say. For all you people with your negative comments towards what we said yesterday about Schaefer, the kid played 17 regular season games last year in the OHL. Do you know how bad it is for a guy to lose almost a year of hockey when they're a teenager, when your development is going straight up a mountain? It is so important. So for us to be surprised and to say maybe he needs a little bit more time because he missed the whole year, he missed 80% of the year last year, is a very, very normal thought. It has nothing to do with the CHL. Yes, it makes what this guy is doing right now even more impressive, but it also gives me pause and feels like there may be a wall that he hits eventually because he only played 17 regular season and 2 World Junior games last year, okay? In a year where most guys play 80, 90, maybe 100 games. So everybody needs to just stop hearing what you want to hear and actually listen to what we're saying. We are praising the kid. We always talk about the talent coming out of the CHL, okay? I mean, come on. Like, we're not saying we're surprised that a player came from the CHL and is doing well in the NHL. We're saying this guy was injured all year last year, all right? So just simmer down. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Johnny. Say your last point. Let's move to Lane Hutson.
Well, I won't even say what I was going to say to follow up with that, like about my comment on that matter. But I think the 26 minutes, and I see people saying like if he keeps playing 26 minutes, like it's only human nature for him to crash, right? Like, but the 26 minutes is because in those games, it's only been the last 2 games. He played like 17 minutes in the first game, but the last 2 games, the Islanders went down 2-0 in the first period, and they're chasing the game from that point, and he's their best offensive defenseman. He is. And Tony DeAngelo is a great offensive defenseman as well. No discredit to him. But Matthew Schaefer has shown so many incredible flashes offensively that they need him out there to try to cut the deficit in half. You know, like they're chasing the game for the last 2. That's why, you know, sure, he's gotten PK, but he's getting all these extra minutes on the first power play unit because they need a goal, and on 5-on-6 when they pull their goalie. Like that's where all these extra minutes are really coming from for Matthew Schaefer. Like in the first game, in a 3-3 tie game in the third period, you know, it's not like he was out there every shift, but you know, that's a big reason why he's getting the 26 minutes is because the Islanders have been playing from behind in these last 2 games. Like, if the Islanders are up 2 goals, I doubt they're going to have Schaefer out there the entire third period trying to protect the lead. Not saying he won't play at all, but you know what I mean? Like that's a big reason why he's been getting this ice time.
Well, I'm sorry, Jenna Henderson, by the way. I don't want to trigger any PTSD, but I do. I like when you guys get emotional because it gets me emotional. And I like when people leave comments that get me fired up because that's honestly like, we had the conversation before the show and oh God, stop yelling at girls, Colby, Dumpy Bear says. All right, let's move to Lane Hutson.
Yeah.
You know, right as we get off the show yesterday in true form, Lane signs a large $70 million contract, 8 years, 8.8.
8.5,
you know,
I guess.
There's been all sorts of things that have come out over the last 24 hours between Frank, between Elliot Friedman, kind of saying what happened, what changed, you know, in this whole thing. And the first question I'll ask you, Johnny, and we'll start here. How much money do you think he left on the table?
What did I say like 2 weeks ago? I thought he could have made 10.5, maybe even more. I think I said the Doughty deal, like 11 by 8. I think that's what I said. When we were talking about his contract a couple of weeks ago or a couple days ago.
We all have, you know, our ideas about what he could have made. I think the reality there is that he was a restricted free agent. He couldn't be offer sheeted last night, or next season. So there was more leverage going Montreal's way. And I think Montreal decided here that they knew that Lane Hutson wants to be a hockey player and does not want to be in the news because of his contract. This kid wants to go out and just play hockey and help his team win. He is the ultimate competitor. Like I remember when he was in college, they'd play Friday, Saturday, and on Sunday morning, he'd be at the rink on the ice by himself or taking his younger brother out on the ice and working with his younger brother. You know, not all 3 of them are built that way, by the way. And they're all good players. And there's a 4th one, Lars Hutson, who's on his way, who's playing in the USHL, who by all means sounds like he's headed to Division I hockey as well. But you've got 2 brothers who have played in the NHL, 1 brother who's starring at Boston University, but you have Lane is just a different beast. He really is. He is so committed to hockey. And I just think he decided, he woke up and he said, you know what? This is a distraction to my whole team. And let's get this done today. And I think he said, you know what? Yeah, you offered me a little bit more money, but it was deferred, and I don't want to deal with deferred money. I can do a lot with $70 million. You know, maybe he left $3, $4, $5 million bucks on the table. But he decided, hey, maybe if I leave $1 million a year on the table, maybe that helps us win a Stanley Cup. If I leave $1 million and this player leaves $1 million and that player leaves $1 million, that's $3 extra million, right? And that's where I think this Connor McDavid leave some on the table effect is happening. I think these star players are feeling like I need to leave a little bit for everybody else. Yes, the money is staying in the system, but I will remind everybody that there are a lot of teams in the NHL that are not spending to the cap. I can look at the bottom 5 or 6 teams, and there's $100 million of salary not in the system because you've got 2 teams with $13 to $15 million in cap, some 10, this and that. So, I think you have a situation now where players are taken less. And I think Lane Hutson took less. I think if he wanted to dig his heels in and let this go on all season, he probably could have got to that 11 million number. But at the end of the day, it was more important to him to get this behind him. It was more important to him to not have this distraction. He doesn't want his teammates having to talk about it, think about it. You saw the reaction. When they found out during practice, there was a mob scene on the ice, and he gets wrapped up at $8.8 million. And one thing I will note, and I know Elliot talked about this yesterday, imagine the situation, Lane Hutson's agent is negotiating against his former boss. They worked together at Cortex. It was actually like his mentor, Kent Hughes, and his agent, Sean Coffey. I think Sean Coffey did a good job here, but ultimately it's up to the player. The player decides, this is all I want. This is what I want. Get this done. And that's what happened. Lane said, get this done today. I don't want this to go on anymore. This is what I'll take.
Okay, I have two things to say to your point. First of all, Lane's also 21 years old. So by the time this contract ends in 2034, he'll have another 7-year contract waiting for him. And what? Why are you shaking your head at?
No, sorry. It wasn't at you. It wasn't at you.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I got a message on my computer that I was shaking my head at. Not directed at you.
Now I have PTSD just like Jenna. But his contract will end in 2034. He'll have another 7-year deal waiting for him then when he's 29 in his prime. So I don't think that's a concern either. And you look at the guys Montreal now has locked up through the year 2030. So the next, 5-6 years. Cole Caulfield to 2031, Nick Suzuki to 2030, Uri Slafkovsky to 2033, Noah Dobson to 2033, Caden Gooley to 2031, and now Lane Hutson to 2034. Their core is locked up for the long term. And that is something that like every GM, every organization dreams of. And to that as well.
Do you believe in that core? Is that a core to you that can win a Stanley Cup?
Not right now. But they're all still so young. Like they took a massive jump last year. I think they're going to take another massive jump this year. Give it 3 years, maybe give it 4 years. And then you got Fowler also in the organization too. Jacob Fowler, he'll come up at some point and be the number one guy unless Montembeault really wins that position. But Fowler, we both believe in him that he could be, a top goalie in the league. So
you know how he started in the American League this year? Do you know what his numbers
No,
look like?
I haven't seen anything yet.
Keep talking. I'll look him up.
But the last thing I wanted to read also, Eric Engels, good friend of the show, put out Kent Hughes' comments on Lane Hutson yesterday. And this is what Ken Hughes, the GM, had to say. I had a conversation with Lane over the weekend, and he had talked about his view on things. And it struck me, he wanted to make sure we understood how much he wanted to be here and how hard he was going to work. And I kind of cut him off and said, Lane, there wouldn't be an 8-year deal if we didn't believe in who you were at your core. The kind of person he is and how committed he is to being the best version of himself, but also being the best version of a teammate. So I think everyone knows, like you said, Colby, that Lane Hutson, to his core, all he cares about is playing hockey. And the rest will take care of itself.
This kid would play for free. Of course, nobody's doing that, but that's the kind of guy you have with Lane Hutson. He just loves it. Not every guy loves it. Some guys are just really good at it. Okay? Some guys like it. Lane Hutson's true love in this world is the game of hockey. And I know Lane, and I've witnessed that from Lane, and it is not like that for every player. His true love is the game of hockey. He will be a lifer in this game. When he's done playing one day, I guarantee you he will coach kids. He will build rinks. He will be involved with youth programs. All this guy loves to do is be involved in hockey. He is one of those guys that it is into their core, Lane Hutson.
Yeah, no, it's true. And, I want to say that there's a rare breed of those guys, but there really isn't. I feel like most hockey players are kind of built that way.
No, I disagree with you.
You do?
Totally disagree with you.
Okay.
I wouldn't say most. I think guys like it, but I think a lot of guys know it's their job. I think a lot of guys get jaded in the NHL when there's
I think they feel that way, later on. But at the start.
I don't. I'd say maybe half the guys, maybe 50% of the guys, it is what they are to it is eat, sleep, breathe. I mean, it's Lane doesn't miss a game. If the Montreal Canadiens are not playing, he's watching his brothers. He's getting on a plane, and not just his brother at BU. He's watching the American League for Quinn. He's watching the USHL for Lar. That's how some of these guys are, but it's not all the guys. I do not believe that it is most of the players.
Yeah. Okay, we have some orders of business to get to before we wrap up today's show because I got to get to morning skate at MSG. So I want to give a quick word from our sponsor, Out West. And ladies and gents, it's time for the fall 2025 El Dorado collection has officially arrived at the Out West HQ. This drop features 3 new colors of our best-selling Zakara performance hoodies, which Colby's wearing right now, the Nightfall Kentucky Charcoal, and Kerry Green, subtle tones that were heavily requested from our fan base, so we figured it was time. New on the roster are 2 performance pieces. We work closely with our manufacturing team to find a French terry fabric that's more durable without sacrificing comfort. So enter the Brighton full zip jacket, which we will get soon, and Stellar Performance Q-Zip, both available in 4 colors for effortless layering and performance. After rounding out the release, the highly anticipated men's everyday vest makes its debut. A puffer, but not puffy. If you know, you know. Clean design, versatile fit, built for wherever your day takes you. Certain sizes and colors sold quickly in pre-order. So do yourself a favor and grab the piece you've had your eye on before it's too late. Out West, every game needs an outlaw, and everyone that listens to the show knows how much we love our Out West hoodies, which I guess we might need to make in girl sweater fashion as well. Colby, any other things that you want to get to before we do Bet365?
No, let's get to Bet365, Johnny boy.
All right, so we haven't hit a bet yet this season, which is terrible. No points yesterday for Easton Cowan. That was Vic's pick, though, so I'm only 0-2 to give myself a little more credit. But Bet365, whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. You must be 19 or older. Everyone knows the deal by now. And tonight we're going to wait for the late game. The Anaheim Ducks are taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. I believe it is Anaheim's home opener tonight, if I'm not mistaken. I was wrong about Chicago's yesterday. I know.
You're struggling with that.
I was wrong about Chicago's yesterday. I'll have to double check if it's their home opener.
You know who tipped me off on that, by the way, that tweet?
Who?
Frank. He sent it to
me. He was on TV. I was watching him, yeah.
He sent it to me, and he was like, can you please correct this idiot?
Well, they had like a whole centennial like pregame ceremony they were showing, so it like just looked like the home opener, but I guess it could have been a replay from like Saturday night or something. But, I had the volume on the Minnesota Wild LA Kings game. I didn't have the volume on the Blackhawks, so I didn't, hear what they were saying, but whatever.
Them too. They had some life at the United Center. Yeah. Them and the Flyers both. Listen, Flyers had a pretty good effort. Sean Couturier looks 20 years old again. Matvey Michkov, another 14 minutes. Now, rumor has it he's not in good shape. Rick Tocchet had comments about an injury. The boys on Spittin' Chicklets. Like, I just... Man, I don't know. I just don't see the Michkov and Philadelphia thing just long-term playing out in favor. I just don't. But I got to tell you, seeing Sean Couturier look 20 years old again, what an unreal guy he is. Like I am rooting for that guy to find his old ways. And he says he's healthy. His back isn't bothering him. He can put his socks on. He's the ultimate team guy, Sean Couturier. So when I see him net 2 like that, we were going to break down that one goal, the Zegras. I'm not going to do it because we got to get out of here. Maybe we. I
didn't even say the bet though, by the way.
Yeah, all right, go ahead, give the bet.
It was Ducks money line -150. Everyone knows I'm high on the Anaheim Ducks this year. They're home taking on the Penguins. Anaheim, squeezed out a great win the other night against San Jose. Leo Carlsson in overtime, Chris Kreider, that late game tying goal. I think they came back from down 6-4 in the third. So I like them to keep that momentum going tonight into what I believe is their home opener. Who'd they play in their first game? I'm blanking on who their first game was against, but I think it was on the road.
Jeremiah, aka the Sports Beard. I feel like you've been changing your usernames a little bit, Jeremiah.
I think he has 2.
Keeping us on our toes. No, I know he has 2, but I feel like he keeps us on our toes at times. And it was a great pass by Zegras, no doubt. But the way that Ekblad and the way that Bennett had they looked like they were flag carriers or lacrosse players, the way that they defended that, which is why you got to stick on puck. But all right, Johnny, that's what we got for today. Matthew Barnaby was a great guest. We'll have to have him back on. He had a really interesting point of view on all that stuff today. It was kind of interesting to get his take on it. But give us a like before you leave. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Get those automatic downloads going. You could set them on your phone, even if you're not necessarily using the audio only every day. Throw your boys those automatic downloads on, like I have on my phone. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. We have some other guests we're kind of honing in on. Is there a lot of games on tonight, Johnny? I haven't actually looked. Yeah, 8 games tonight.
Decent amount, yeah.
Decent slate. I was up super late last night preparing for the BU Michigan State game, but I had my screens on at my desk, and I was so disappointed. Like, the one night I'm up until like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. There's no like Golden Knights West Coast game, 10:30 puck drop. I was dying for one of those last night, but of course I didn't. Well,
the Kings came back from down 3-0, I think, against the Wild.
They did.
I guess that wasn't super late though.
And then how about the penalty kill by the Wild in overtime? The 4-on-3 penalty kill. Boy, they were just bend but don't break as LA was just going seam. It was pretty passing but no finish. That's all the time we have today. We appreciate the chat. Some great questions coming in from Matthew Barnaby today. We had some good polls today. Johnny, I do hope you're going to change that shirt before you go out in public today. I think you're going to probably
wearing this to the garden.
I think you're probably going to get some looks from some of the guys in the New York Ranger locker room when you're wearing a woman's shirt. So we hope everybody has a great day. We look forward to Johnny's coverage of the Rangers game a little bit later. I'm sure his Twitter will be insufferable. And with that, we hope everybody has a good rest of your day, and we will see you all tomorrow. And yes, Callum, I am just jealous of Matvei Michkov. You just nailed it right on the head. It reeks of jealousy. Have a great day, everybody.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Morning Cuppa Hockey here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And don't forget, we've got more great hockey content every day. You can catch DFO live at noon and stick around for the Sheet with Jeff Marek at 1 p.m. right here on Daily Faceoff. Until then, keep your coffee hot and your takes hotter.